My daughter looked me in the eye while two strangers grabbed my arms. "Dad has dementia," she told them with a voice that did not tremble. I was drinking coffee in my kitchen, reading the paper, completely lucid, but she needed me to disappear. I saw the bruise on her wrist. I saw how Hank was watching her from the car. I saw the desperation in her trembling hands. My daughter was selling me out to save her own skin, and the neighbors watched from their windows, doing nothing. If this story moves your soul, subscribe. Every day we share real stories that could be yours. Tell me from what corner of the world you're listening. My name is William Turner. I am 79 years old. I was a philosophy professor for 40 years in Ohio. That Black Saturday started like any other since Linda died a year ago. I put 2 cups on the table out of habit. I sat down with my coffee and the paper. But when I saw the empty plate in front of me, reality hit me like it does every morning. There is no one on the other side anymore. I stared at that void for a few seconds. I swallowed the lump in my throat and kept reading the news. It is not dementia. It is grief. But my daughter Jessica decided it was the same thing and that she could use that pain to get rid of me. It was 9 o'clock when Mrs. Higgins, my 83-year-old neighbor, knocked with her characteristic rhythm 3 sharp knocks. "Mr. Turner, I brought pastries." She walked in with the confidence of 4 decades of being neighbors. We sat down, and while we ate, she told me something that froze my blood. "Yesterday I saw your son-in-law talking to 2 weird guys in a white van. They looked like nurses or something." I did not give it importance at that moment. Mistake. I should have run. I should have called someone. But one never believes their own daughter is capable of something like that. Surely it was for something else, I told her. "Mrs. Higgins looked at me with that wisdom of old people who have seen too much. "Mr. Turner, take care of yourself. That daughter of yours has the face of trouble." At 10 o'clock sharp, I heard the car. I knew the sound of the engine of Hank's old Ford. He parked right in front of my door, something he never did. He always stopped at the corner because he said my driveway was too narrow. I looked out the window. Jessica got out first, looking everywhere like a thief studying the terrain. Hank stayed inside with the engine running. Then 2 men got out from the back, big guys with white uniforms. My stomach tightened. "Mrs. Higgins," I said, "stay here." But she was already getting up. "I better go, Mr. Turner. Your daughter does not want to see me, even in a picture." She went out the back door just as Jessica came in through the front, without knocking, as if the house were already hers. "Hello, Dad," she said with that crooked smile she used to make as a girl when she lied. The 2 men stayed at the door, blocking the exit. "What is the meaning of this, Jessica?" I asked, standing up. My 52-year-old daughter, the one I raised with all my love, looked at me like you look at an old piece of furniture that needs to be thrown out. "Dad, we came to help you. Since Mom died, you are not well. You talk to yourself, you set 2 plates, you cry at night." "And who told you that I had asked her?" "The neighbors are worried she lied. The only neighbors who talk to me are Mrs. Higgins and Mr. Henderson, and neither would say such a thing." "I do not need help, Jessica. I need you to leave me in peace." It was then that I saw the bruise, a dark purple patch on her left wrist, the size of a man's hand. Hank had hit her again, and she was here not out of worry, but out of necessity. "How much do you owe this time?" I asked her directly. She turned pale. "I do not know what you are talking about, Dad. You are confused." Lies. I knew that face. It was the same one she made at 15 when I found the cigarettes, at 20 when she stole my credit card, at 30 when she took out a loan in my name. "Jessica, do not do this to me. I am your father. Exactly for that reason, Dad. Because I love you, you need treatment." She made a signal, and the 2 men entered Big Young with faces of stone. "Mr. Turner, I am Brad, a paramedic. Come with us, please. Your daughter hired our specialized care services." The tallest one spoke with a mechanical, studied voice. The other one took out a foldable stretcher from the hallway, a stretcher, as if I were sick, as if I were an invalid. "I'm not going anywhere," I said firmly. But Jessica had everything prepared. She took some papers out of her purse. "I have a medical evaluation, Dad. Dr. Miller says you present signs of severe post-grief cognitive deterioration. What Dr. Miller? I never saw any Dr. Miller. Of course you do not remember Dad. That is exactly why you need help. The damn woman had falsified everything. Mrs. Higgins, I shouted toward the window, call the police. But Brad covered my mouth with his huge hand. Sir, do not make a scene. It is worse for everyone. From outside I heard Mrs. Higgins screaming, "What are you doing to him? Leave him alone, he is perfectly fine." But Jessica went out and told her something I could not hear. Mrs. Higgins fell silent. Later I learned she told her that if she interfered, she would report her for trespassing, because technically the land where Mrs. Higgins lives has a paperwork problem. My daughter had investigated how to silence everyone. While they held me, I saw Hank watching from the car. He had a black eye. Both of them were beaten. Who had they messed with? Dad, it is a very nice place. It is called Sunrise Care Home. They are going to take good care of you, Jessica said while the men dragged me toward the door. You are going to have company activities, good food. Lies, all lies. Jessica, for the love of your mother, do not do this. It was a mistake to mention Linda. Jessica's eyes hardened. Mom is gone, Dad, and you are not well either. This is for the best. They took me out of my house like a bundle. The neighbors watched from the windows, but nobody came out. It is what happens when they take you for medical reasons. People prefer not to get involved. After all, it is not their father being taken away. They put me in a white van without identification. No logos, no name. Nothing. Brad sat next to me while the other one drove. Jessica stayed at the house. I saw her enter with the keys while we drove away. She already had everything planned. Do you know this is kidnapping? I told the guys. We just follow orders, Gramps. Your family asked for the service. We provide it. Gramps. He called me Gramps as if I were an object, not a person with a name, with history, with dignity. How much did she pay you? It is none of your business. Do you know I have all my mental faculties? Everyone says the same thing. They were not going to help me. They were just paid muscles. While the van moved through the streets, I knew by memory I thought about what I had discovered the day before. I was cleaning Linda's sewing room when her old box fell. When it hit the floor, the bottom came off. A false bottom I never knew existed. Inside there were 3 yellowed letters. Letters from my mother dated 1948. They spoke of Max, a brother I never knew I had, a brother given up for adoption to a family in California because there was no food for 2 children. My mother chose to keep me because I was stronger. Max would be 76 years old now, if he lived and I was locked up without being able to look for him. The van took the highway towards the outskirts. I knew the way. I had passed by Sunrise Care Home sometime, a gray building far away where families hide their inconvenient old people. My nephew is a lawyer, I told them. He is going to look for me. Brad laughed. Do you know how many lawyer nephews come looking for the old folks? None, Gramps. When the family decides to commit you, everyone agrees. Or they play dumb. He was right. David lived in New York. How was he going to find out? Who was going to tell him? Jessica surely had a story prepared already. Dad got aggressive. Dad did not recognize anyone. It was for his own good, and everyone was going to believe her, because it is easier to believe an old man went crazy than to believe a daughter is capable of something like this. Sunrise Care Home was worse than I remembered. A 3-story building that looked like a disguised prison, small windows with bars painted white to hide them, a garden with synthetic grass and plastic plants. Everything fake like the smiles of those who work there. They took me down from the van, grabbing my arms as if I were going to escape. Where was a 79-year-old man going to go? The receptionist, a young girl with a bored face, did not even look up. Name she asked. William Turner. Brad answered for me as if I could not speak. Ah, yes, the daughter already paid 3 months in advance. Room 208. 3 months. The wretched woman had sold me for 3 months. They made me sign papers. Many papers. What am I signing? I asked. Voluntary stay consent, said the receptionist. Voluntary, they brought me by force. Sir, your family says you have episodes of confusion. Sign here. I refused. Brad squeezed my shoulder, not hard, but enough for me to understand. Either I signed or they made me sign. I put my name on those damn papers. Then they checked my pockets, took my belt, my shoelaces. Why, I asked. Protocol was the only answer. They gave me a bracelet with a number. 312. I stopped being William. Now I was 312. One more number in their business of disposable old people. They took me through hallways that smelled of bleach and sadness. On the walls there were cheap paintings of generic landscapes. Beaches nobody visited. Mountains nobody climbed. Everything to pretend it was a happy place. We passed by the common room, 30 or 40 old people sitting watching a giant television. Some slept with their mouths open, others stared at nothing. A woman in a wheelchair repeated, "I want to go home," over and over again. Nobody paid attention to her. That is going to be my life, now I thought. But no, I was not going to let myself be defeated. I had to get out. I had to find Max. I owed it to my mother. I owed it to that brother I never met. Room 208 was on the second floor. 2 beds, 2 nightstands, a shared bathroom. My roommate was sitting on his bed. Robert introduced himself. 83 years old, retired engineer. Dementia, he asked me directly. No, my daughter needs my house, I answered. He laughed with bitterness. The same old story. I have been here 8 months. My son says it is temporary. He already sold my condo downtown. I sat on what would be my bed, a thin mattress, rough sheets, a pillow that smelled of disinfectant. At home I had my king-size bed, where I slept with Linda for 55 years, where my daughters were born, where my wife died, and now this, a hospital cot. Lunch was at 12 sharp. They took me to the dining room like cattle. A huge hall with long white plastic tables. The smell hit me first. Boiled food mixed with disinfectant and something else. Hopelessness. I sat where they indicated. To my right, a lady with a lost gaze played with her mashed potatoes. To my left, a man drooled while trying to bring the spoon to his mouth. Robert signaled me from another table, but they did not let me move. Everyone in their assigned place, said a nurse with an unfriendly face. The food was pasta shredded, chicken white rice, all without salt, without flavor, without life, just like us. Are you new? The drooling one asked me. His eyes were glassy from the medication. I arrived today, I answered. I have been... He stood thinking, confused. 2 years, completed a nurse passing by. Mr. Albert has been here 2 years. 2 years. It gave me nausea to think of 2 years there. The old man looked at me, and for a second his eyes cleared. My daughter. My daughter said it was for a few days, he whispered. Then he got lost again in his chemical fog. I looked around. Most were the same, drugged, lost, absent. Only Robert and another gentleman in the back seemed conscious. The others were ghosts of what they used to be. That is what they want, I thought, that we become real ghosts. After lunch came the mandatory nap. Everyone to your rooms, they ordered. Like children, like prisoners. Robert walked beside me down the hall. The first days are the worst, he told me. Then you get used to it, or you go crazy for real. In the room, I threw myself on the bed. The mattress creaked. The sheets smelled of cheap bleach. Through the window with bars, I could see a piece of gray sky. At home at this time, I would be watering Linda's plants. Her roses, her geraniums. Everything must be dying without water. Like me inside here. I touched my pocket. The letter was still there. My only comfort. My only hope. At 3, they woke us up for recreation. A woman too cheerful made us sit in a circle. We are going to play with balloons, she announced, as if we were slow. They gave us colored balloons and made us pass them while children's music played. I saw Albert trying to grab the balloon, but his hands trembled too much. He dropped it. The woman picked it up with poorly disguised impatience. Come on, Albert, concentrate. He started to cry. A 70-year-old man crying over a balloon. That is what we were there. Less than children, less than people. Just problems that families paid not to see. During the snack, watered-down tea and cookies and hard as stones, a fat nurse approached. 312, take this. He gave me 2 white pills. What is it? I asked. What the doctor ordered. I do not have any doctor. Everyone has a doctor here. Open your mouth. I refused. He grabbed my jaw and opened it by force. I felt the bitter pills on my tongue. Swallow, he ordered. I spit them out. He slapped me. Not hard, but humiliating. Either you take them or we inject them. You choose. I swallowed them. In 20 minutes, I felt my head heavy. The world became blurry. So he stays calm, I heard him tell another nurse. Calm. Drugged. Submissive. Dinner was at 7. Vegetable soup that looked like dirty water. Hard bread and expired yogurt. I ate because the body asked for something, but every bite was an insult. Robert looked at me from his table with pity. He had already gone through this. He already knew there was no way out. Or so he believed, because I had something he did not have. A powerful reason to get out. A lost brother to find. An injustice of 70 years to repair. When we went back to the room, Robert lay down sighing. Tomorrow is worse, he said. The second day you realize it is real. I lay down without undressing. The pills clouded my thoughts, but not my will. In the middle of the night, I woke up sweating. The effects of the pills were wearing off, and reality hit me completely. I was locked up. My daughter had sold me. My house was empty. Nobody knew where I was. I put my hand in my pocket and took out the letter. By the light coming from the hallway, I read my mother's words again. Max was given to the Miller family in California. Max Miller, then. If he took the name. If he survived. If he was still alive. I had to get out of there. I had to look for him. At some point, someone was going to help me. Someone had to realize that this was wrong. Meanwhile, I was going to resist. They were not going to break me. They were not going to turn me into one more of the ghosts. I am William Turner. I am a professor. I am a father. I am a brother. And I am going to get out of here. The third day in that cursed place was when I knew I was not alone. Robert woke me up early before the nurses made their rounds. William, last night, I heard 2 nurses talking. They said your housekeeper came yesterday asking for you. Helen. My Helen, who has been cleaning my house twice a week for 15 years. The woman who cried with Linda in the kitchen when the tomatoes did not turn out well. The one who made me extra strong coffee when I had to grade exams until late. What else did they say? I asked with a tight heart. That they chased her away. That your daughter said she was a fired employee, coming to cause trouble. Jessica had fired her, of course. Helen knew too much. What I did not know then was what had happened 3 days before my kidnapping. Helen had arrived early that Thursday as always. She found the house turned upside down, drawers open, papers everywhere. Jessica and Hank were in the dining room with a calculator and piles of documents. What are you doing here? Helen asked them with that firmness only she had. We are helping Dad with his papers, Jessica lied, but Helen saw what they had on the table. Property deeds, appraisals, real estate contacts. Mr. Turner did not give you permission to be here. Helen, mind your own business, Hank told her with that thug voice he used to scare people. Helen did not get scared. She never got scared of anything. While they continued with their calculations, Helen went to the sewing room. She had promised Linda she would keep it clean. She was wiping the dust when my mother's old box fell. When it hit the floor, the wooden bottom came off. Helen saw the letters, the 3 yellowed letters, that changed everything. She read them. She read about Max. She read about my mother's most painful decision. It hurts me to give Max away, but William is stronger. God forgive what I do, but there is no food for 2 children. The words of 1948, written with ink that was fading. Helen cried right there, sitting on the floor of the sewing room. She cried for my mother. She cried for that brother I never met. And she cried because she knew this could be useful. She put the letters in her apron just as she heard voices rising in tone. She went back to the dining room. Jessica and Hank were arguing. "We cannot wait any more," he said, hitting the table. "The guys said 30 days or they kill us both." I know, my daughter responded with a desperate voice, "but Dad is not going to sell. He wants to make a library with Mom's name." "A library? Are they going to kill us for a damn library?" Helen stood frozen behind the door. $200,000. Loan sharks. 30 days. Everything fit. Jessica's bruise. The weird guys in the van. The urgency. Helen took out her old cell phone and pressed record. What she heard next froze her blood. "We have to get him out of the way," Hank said. "Out of the way." "What does that mean?" Jessica asked with a trembling voice. "Commit him." "Whatever. If he says he has dementia, we can sell the land as legal guardians. Hank, he is my father. Your father or your life. Choose." Silence. A silence that Helen recorded completely. Then my daughter's broken voice. "There is a clinic. Sunrise Care Home. I know people who work there. And if we do not take Dad out, they kill all three of us. Me, you, and Emily. Emily, my 8-year-old granddaughter. They were using her as an excuse to justify the unjustifiable." Helen kept recording. 5 minutes. 10. Everything remained on that old cell phone that had almost no memory. When Jessica and Hank left, Helen ran to her house. She lived 6 blocks away in a small apartment she shared with her sister. "I have to find the professor's nephew," she told her sister Rose. "David, the lawyer who lives in New York. That same one." Rose worked at the post office. She had contacts. Between the two of them, they searched social media until they found him. David Turner, labor lawyer, 35 years old. Helen wrote to him directly. "I am Helen Gutierrez, your Uncle William's employee. I need to speak urgently. Is it life or death?" David replied in 2 hours. "What happened to my uncle? His daughter is going to commit him to steal the land. I have proof." Proof. Helen sent him the audios. Everything. David called on the phone in less than 5 minutes. "Helen, is this real? As real as me talking to you. Where is my uncle now? At his house. But I heard they are coming Saturday with people." It was Wednesday. They had 3 days. "I am going to Ohio tomorrow morning," David said. But he did not arrive in time. Friday night, he had an accident. Not serious, but enough to delay him. A taxi hit him on 5th Avenue. Coincidence, said the police. David did not believe in coincidences. Someone did not want him to arrive. By Saturday, when he could finally travel, I was already locked up. Helen went to the clinic that same day. They kicked her out without letting her pass. "She is not direct family," they told her. As if 15 years cleaning my house were not family. David arrived in town on Sunday. He went straight to the house. He found Jessica inside moving furniture. "What are you doing here, David? Where is Uncle?" Dad had to be committed. He was not well since Mom died. "Lie? What do you mean lie? I have audios of you planning to commit him to sell the land." Jessica turned white. "I do not know what you are talking about. $200,000. Loan sharks. 30 days. Ring a bell." My daughter crumbled. She sat on the sofa and covered her face. "They are going to kill us, David. I have no way out. There is always a way out, but not like this." David took out his recorder. "I am going to get my uncle out of that place. And if you do not cooperate, I will report you for illegal deprivation of liberty." After David left the house with his clear threat, Jessica was left alone. She collapsed on the sofa and cried for 20 minutes. She thought about calling Hank, but his cell phone was off. She thought about running away, but she had nowhere to go. She thought about everything she had done wrong, how one lie had led to another, how fear had destroyed everything she touched. Outside, Helen arrived, walking fast from her apartment. She brought my mother's letters wrapped in a plastic bag. She had spoken to David on the phone. They were going to meet at my house. She had the letters. He had the audios. Together they had enough to get him out of that cursed place. Helen knocked on the door. Jessica opened with swollen eyes. They looked at each other. Neither said anything. Helen entered and waited in the hallway. 5 minutes later, David arrived. David entered and saw Helen standing in the hallway. Jessica pointed at her without saying a word and locked herself in her room. "Who are you?" David asked. "Helen Gutierrez, the one who sent you the audios." They shook hands like old allies. "I found this," Helen said, showing him the letters. David read them standing in the hallway. He turned pale. "My uncle has a brother," Hetchy said. "It has been 70 years since this. We have to find out." Between the two, they made a plan. David was going to use the audios to press legally. Helen was going to look for information about Max. My sister works in civil records. I can ask her to search in California. It was a very thin thread, but it was all we had. While they planned my rescue, I remained locked up, without knowing I had an army of 2 people fighting outside. Monday morning, David filed an appeal. Habeas corpus, illegal deprivation of liberty, falsification of medical diagnosis. He put everything. The judge would review the case in 48 hours. Meanwhile, Helen and her sister Rose searched in California records. Max Turner, given for adoption to Miller family in 1948. They found something, a name change record. Max Turner became Max Miller in 1953. He was 5 years old. They had loved him. They had respected his blood name, keeping it as a middle name. There was hope, but I still knew nothing of all this. I remained locked between pills and colored balloons until that Sunday arrived, the Sunday that changed everything. That Sunday I was woken up by the noise of the television at full volume. It was early 7 in the morning. The nurses took us all down to the common room. Entertainment. Sunday announced the same 2 cheerful women from the balloons. They sat us in rows in front of the giant television. Some were already sleeping. Others looked at the ceiling. Albert drooled on my shoulder. The room smelled of medicines and concentrated sadness. They put on a cooking show first, then one about animals. I looked at the barred window, thinking about the letters about Max, about the injustice of being there. I paid no attention to the screen until I heard the name of the show coming up, Lost and Found. My heart skipped a beat. The show started with emotional music. A young host, one of those who talk with their hands and expressive face, appeared on screen. Welcomes to Lost and Found, where families separated by time find their way back. I am Ryan Carter, and today we have a case that touched our soul. The camera showed an older man sitting in the studio, 70-something years old. White hair, thick glasses, old but clean suit. Our guest is Mr. Max Miller, a retired merchant from California who is looking for his brother, lost 77 years ago. Max. The name pierced my chest. How many Maxes could be looking for lost and found? But it could not be. It was too much of a coincidence. I leaned forward. Albert protested because I took away his support. Ryan Carter continued, "Mr. Miller, tell us your story." The man on the screen took a deep breath. He had trembling hands on his knees. "I was given for adoption when I was 3 years old. The Miller family raised me as their own son. They never lied to me about my origin. I always knew I had an older brother who stayed with my biological mom." The voice. It was a paused voice full of years, but with an accent I recognized. That tone that never leaves even if you live decades away. "And why were you separated?" Ryan asked. "Because of hunger," Max answered with moist eyes. "My mother could not feed both of us. It was 1948. The Millers were merchants without children. They saved us both, me by giving me a family, my brother by leaving him to my mother." I stood up without realizing it. 2 nurses came running. "Sit down 312." But I could not sit down. On the screen, Ryan asked, "Do you remember anything about your brother?" Max closed his eyes. I remember he was taller than me. Obviously, I was 5 years old. I remember he defended me when the neighbors' dogs barked. And I remember a song." "What song?" "Our mother sang to us every night to put us to sleep. A sad song about the ocean. 'My Bonnie lies over the ocean.' The world stopped. My mother sang that song every night, always. Linda used to tell me it was too sad for a child, but I asked her to sing it because it reminded me of Mom. 'My Bonnie lies over the ocean.' The same words coming out of the mouth of that man on the screen. "It is my brother," I shouted. "It is Max. It is my brother." The whole room turned to look at me. Albert woke up scared. The nurses grabbed my arms. 312, calm down. You do not understand. It is my brother. The man on the TV is my brother. Everyone says the same thing, answered the fat nurse with annoyance. Last week, Mr. Jones said the guy on the news was his son. They dragged me towards the hallway. I looked at the screen, desperate. Ryan kept talking. "Mr. Max is looking for William Turner from Ohio. If anyone knows someone with that name born around 1946, please contact the program." My name. My full name on national television, and me being dragged like a madman. It was then that she appeared. Sarah Hayes, a woman of about 40, a new nurse who had started 3 days ago. She stepped between the nurses and me. "Wait, what is happening?" "This old man is having an episode," said the fat nurse. "I am not having anything. That man on the TV is my brother." Sarah looked me in the eyes. She really looked at me. Not like you look at a number, like you look at a person. "What is your name?" she asked me. "William Turner, 79 years old. Retired philosophy professor." I saw something change in her face. "Professor Turner, from the State University." I nodded desperately. "Do you remember me?" I looked at her better. The eyes. The green eyes I never forgot. "Sarah Hayes. You took epistemology with me in 2005. 2006. She corrected me with a trembling smile. "You passed me with a B. You told me I wrote well but had to read more Foucault." I remembered. I remembered that shy girl who sat in the front and took notes on everything. "What are you doing here?" Professor Sarah asked. Before I could answer, the fat nurse intervened. "Miss Hayes, this man has senile dementia. His family committed him because he is not in condition." Dementia. This man. Sarah almost laughed. "Professor Turner was one of the most lucid teachers I had. He never forgets a face." She turned to the nurses. "Let him go. We cannot. He is altered. He is emotional. It is different. And if you do not let him go, I am going to talk to the director about how you treat patients." The guys let me go reluctantly. Sarah took me back to the room. The show continued. Max was reading a letter on screen. "This is a letter my daughter found when we cleaned my adoptive parents' house after they died. It is from my biological mother." The camera zoomed in on a yellowed paper. "Dear Miller, family, thank you for giving my son what I cannot. Take care of him as if he were your own blood. My other son William will know someday he had a brother. Signed, Dolores Turner, my mother," her shaky handwriting, her words broken by the guilt she carried all her life. On the screen, Max wiped his tears with a handkerchief. "I never held a grudge against my mother. She did what she had to do. But I would like to find William before I die. To tell him I had a good life, that it was not in vain. It is him," I told Sarah, with a broken voice. "It is my brother. My mother gave him up for adoption in 1948. I was 5 years old. I barely remember. I found the letters a week ago. I was going to look for him. But my daughter locked me in here to sell the family land and pay her debts." Sarah looked at me with a mix of horror and compassion. "Your daughter committed you for money." I nodded. Sarah nodded, but I felt the urgency burning inside me. I cannot wait. What if Max leaves? What if he does not find me? I saw Sarah make a decision in that moment. Her eyes hardened. "You should not be here," she whispered. "I am not going to allow this." She took out her cell phone and took a photo of the screen. Max, with the contact number of the program below. "I am going to help you, Professor." The rest of the day was a whirlwind. Sarah spoke with Robert. She explained the situation. This man does not have dementia. He is being a victim of a family scam. Robert was not surprised. "Welcome to the club, Professor." But there was something new in his voice. Hope. Between the two, they started to plan. Sarah had access to the administrative office. She could call the program from there. "But it has to be tomorrow morning when the director's not here," she said. "Mondays he only comes in the afternoon." It was risky. If they discovered her, they would fire her. Why would you do it? I asked her. Because you were the only professor who looked at me as a person and not as a file number. Because you taught me that truth matters more than convenience. Your words, Professor. Do you remember them? I remembered them. I always said them the first day of class. That night I could not sleep. Robert neither. We stayed chatting in the dark of the room. Do you believe that old man is really your brother? He asked me. I know it is him. The song, My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Only my mother sang it like that. And the name, the dates, everything matches. And if you find him, and if you get out of here, I am going to build that library with Linda's name. I am going to report my daughter, and I am going to meet my brother before I die. Robert sighed. I do not have brothers to look for anymore, nor children who love me, but I am happy for you, William. If anyone deserves to get out of this hell, it is you. I fell asleep with Max's face in my head. 77 years. 77 years separated. But Monday was going to change everything. Or so I believed. If you are listening to my story and it moves you, please write to me from what part of the world you join me. Sometimes knowing there are people who understand the pain who do not judge, who simply listen, gives me strength to keep telling this story that burns inside me. Because what comes now is the hardest and the most beautiful at the same time. What I did not know, locked in that room, 208, was that outside a war was being fought for my freedom. Monday at 9 in the morning, David entered the family court with a briefcase full of evidence, Helen's audios, my recent medical certificates signed by Dr. Evans, photos of me giving classes at the Cultural Center just 2 months ago. This man is being a victim of illegal deprivation of liberty, he told Judge Mendez. The judge, a guy of 60 with a face of having seen everything, listened to the audios. He heard Jessica's voice. If we do not take Dad out, they kill us. The judge's face transformed. You have your habeas corpus. 24 hours to present Mr. Turner before this court. David ran out. He had 1 day to get me out of there. But when David arrived at the house to notify Jessica, the house was empty. Door locked. Windows with curtains drawn. He knocked. He shouted. Nothing. The neighbors told him they had seen her leave early with suitcases. The husband came to pick her up in a car that was not theirs, a gray Peugeot. They left fast. Hank had hidden her. They knew this was going to happen. David called Jessica's cell phone. Off to Hank's. Out of service. They had disappeared. Damn. David muttered, hitting the door. Mrs. Higgins came out of her house. Young man, are you family of Mr. Turner? I am his nephew. Come, I have to show you something. What, Mrs. Higgins showed him froze his blood. In Mrs. Higgins' house, on her kitchen table full of photos and clippings, there was something he did not expect. Last night, 2 men came. Big guys, with faces of bad life. They knocked on Mr. Turner's door. Since nobody answered, they left. But I heard what they said. Mrs. Higgins handed him a paper where she had written, with shaky handwriting, 7 days. If in 7 days they do not have the money, the daughter and the husband are history. And the old man, too, just in case. David felt the floor move. It was not 7 days from now. It was 7 days from that moment. When was this? Last night, around 11. 10 hours had already passed. There were 6 days and 14 hours left. The loan sharks were not going to wait for a habeas corpus. They were going to kill my daughter. More than 3 weeks have passed since all this started. The original deadline was 30 days. Now only 7 remain. David called Helen. I need to find Jessica. She has to testify before the judge, or I cannot get my uncle out. Helen thought fast. The sister? Lucy. She lives in Chicago. Maybe Jessica told her something. Do you have her number? No, but I know where she works. My cousin is a teacher at the same school. 2 hours later, David was talking to Lucy on the phone. My youngest daughter's voice sounded strange, distant, as if she spoke from underwater. Is Dad committed? She asked with a broken voice. Yes. Your sister put him in a geriatric clinic to sell the land. Silence. A long silence where David heard something break on the other side of the line. "I am going there," Lucy said. "Tomorrow I will be in town." She hung up. While all this was happening, I was still in the clinic, knowing nothing. That Monday, Sarah kept her promise. At 10 in the morning, when the director had not yet arrived, she took me to the administrative office. "Quick, Professor, you have 5 minutes." We called the number that had appeared on the show. A secretary answered. "Lost and Found program. How can I help you?" "I am William Turner, the brother Max Miller is looking for." The woman on the other side went silent. "Mr. Turner, you are William." "Yes, I am 79 years old. My mother was named Dolores. She sang 'My Bonnie Lies' over the ocean to my children before sleeping." "My God, Mr. Max is here." Wait, I heard noises, fast steps, excited voices, and then a voice I had not heard for 77 years, but that my soul recognized immediately. "William," a single word, my name spoken with a soft accent, with a voice trembling with emotion. "Max," I answered, and my voice broke. "Brother," I could not say more. I cried right there in that administrative office that smelled of paper and old coffee. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. On the other side, Max was also crying. "I thought I was never going to find you. I thought you had died. I thought... I am alive. I am here, but I am locked up." "Locked up? Where?" "In a clinic. Sunrise Care Home. My daughter committed me to rob me. I heard Max speaking to someone. Ryan, bring the cameras. We are going to Ohio." "Cameras," I asked. "The show, brother. We are going to look for you with the whole team. Nobody will be able to deny us entry if we bring television cameras." Sarah returned me to my room before anyone noticed my absence. Robert waited for me anxiously, and I found him. "It is my brother. He is coming here." Robert smiled for the first time since I knew him. "You are going to get out, William. You are going to get out." But I had a knot in my stomach. Something was not right. I did not know what, but I felt it. That afternoon, during the forced dinner, the clinic director, Dr. Reed, came to my table. "Mr. Turner," your daughter called. "She says she is coming tomorrow to visit you." "Jessica." "Coming. At what time?" She did not specify. It was a lie. Jessica was not going to come. She was hidden. But if the doctor said that it was because someone had called pretending to be her, who? The loan sharks. Hank. That night I did not sleep a wink. Robert neither. What if it is a trap, he told me. What if they come to do something to you before your brother arrives? I had not thought about that. If the loan sharks knew I was here, they could enter. They could say they were family. They could make me disappear. "We have to tell Sarah," I said. We waited until 2 in the morning. Sarah did the night shift. I got up slowly. Robert stayed as lookout. I went out to the hallway. The lights were low. Sarah was at the nursing station. "Professor, what are you doing awake? I need you to listen to me. I think I'm in danger." I told her about Jessica's fake call. Sarah's eyes opened wide. "I am going to ask for security at your door." And if security works for them? She was right. In a place like that, anyone could be bought. Tuesday dawned, gray and heavy. The sky threatened a storm. During breakfast, watered-down coffee and hard bread, as always. A nurse I did not know approached. 312, the director wants to see you." I stood up slowly. Robert looked at me worried. Sarah, who was finishing her shift, followed me with her gaze. The nurse took me through a hallway I had not walked before. "Stairs." We went down. "Basement. Where are we going?" "The doctor's in his private office." But there was something weird in his way of walking. Something mechanical. We arrived at a metal door. The guy opened it. Inside was not Dr. Reed. It was the 2 men Mrs. Higgins had seen at my door. Big. With faces that had broken bones before. "Hello, Gramps," said the tallest one. "We have to talk." It was at that exact moment. While I faced 2 hitmen in the basement of a geriatric clinic outside my salvation arrived. Lucy got off a bus at the terminal. She had red eyes from crying the whole trip. She had not slept. She had not eaten. She only thought about what she had to say. She went straight to the house. She found David outside talking to Mrs. Higgins, Uncle David, Lucy. They hugged like castaways. "Where is Dad?" "At the clinic." But the judge ordered his release. "The problem is your sister. She disappeared." Lucy clenched her fists. "I know where she is." Everyone looked at her. "I know Hank. When he has problems, he always hides in the same place. His cousin's house in the lake cabin." "Let's go." David asked no questions. They got into the car. What none of them knew was that it was already too late for some things. In the clinic basement, the tallest of the guys grabbed me by the shirt. "Your daughter owes us $200,000. The deadline is the day after tomorrow. Are you going to pay or not?" "I do not have $200,000, I answered. He pushed me against the wall. The other one took out a knife. "Then your daughter dies, her husband dies, and you too, to leave no loose ends. Kill me, but leave my daughter." The guy laughed. "How cute the old man still wants to defend her after she locked you in here." He was right to laugh. After everything Jessica had done to me, I was still willing to die for her. "If you kill me here, they will find you. There are cameras. I tried. Cameras Gramps, the owner of this clinic, owes us favors. We can do whatever we want." The nurse who had brought me locked the door with a key. I realized then there was no way out. This could be my last hour, and I would die without meeting my brother, without seeing Linda's library, without knowing what really happened to my daughter. What happened next, I learned from Sarah, who saw everything from the security cameras. At 10 in the morning, a white van with the Lost and Found logo parked in front of the clinic. 6 people got out. Max the driver, Ryan Carter, 2 cameramen, a producer, and an assistant. Max walked slowly, leaning on a cane, but with a determination that admitted no refusal. Sarah ran to receive them at the entrance. "Are you coming for Professor Turner?" "I am his brother," Max said with a firm voice. "I come to take him." "Dr. Reed appeared nervous, sweating. "Gentlemen, you cannot enter like this. There are protocols, there are—" A camera turned on and focused on him directly. "Are you the director of this establishment?" asked Ryan with his journalist voice. The doctor turned white. He knew what it meant to be on national television defending an illegal commitment. While this was developing upstairs, I was still in the basement. The guy with the knife played with the blade near my face. "Tell me, Gramps, how much is your life worth?" 50,000. 100. "I have no money. My daughter lied to you?" "Your daughter did not lie. We know you have land. We will sell it ourselves if necessary." The other guy, the one who had pushed me, received a call. He answered. He listened. His face changed. Shit. There are TV cameras upstairs. They came looking for the old man. They looked at me. Television. "My brother, I told you he would come." The guy put away the knife. "We are leaving. But this does not end here. You have until Thursday at 6. If not, we kill your daughter first, and then we come back for you." They opened the door and left through a service exit I had not seen. They left me there trembling with my heart pounding in my chest. I climbed the stairs as I could. My legs did not respond well. When I arrived at the main hall, I saw the scene that would change everything. Max was arguing with Dr. Reed. "My brother is here against his will. I have witnesses. I have proof." The cameras were recording everything. Dr. Reed tried to smile, but his mouth trembled. "Sir, your brother has dementia. His family acted responsibly." "Dementia? William Turner, philosophy professor, has dementia." It was then that he saw me. Our eyes met across the hall. 74 years. 74 years since the last time we had looked at each other. He was 3 years old then. I was 5. Now he was 76. I was 79. But the recognition was instant, as if time had not passed, as if we had never separated. "William," he said with a voice that broke, dropping the cane. He walked towards me, stumbling. I walked towards him with the few forces I had left. We met in the middle of the hall. We hugged and we cried. We cried like 2 children who had been lost and finally found each other. His smell. He smelled of tobacco and old cologne. His body was thin but strong. His arms squeezed me with a strength I did not expect. "Brother," he whispered in my ear, "big brother." I could only cry and repeat his name. "Max! Max! Forgive me. Forgive me for not looking for you sooner. You have nothing to forgive. Nothing." The cameras recorded everything. The nurses watched. Dr. Reed had disappeared discreetly. Sarah cried, leaning against the wall. Even Robert had come down and was crying from his wheelchair. Everyone was crying, because that was more than a reunion. It was justice. It was repair. It was love defeating time. We sat in the common room. Max took an envelope out of his jacket. I brought photos. Photos! Photos of a life I did not know. "This is my wife, Gabriella. She died 5 years ago." A smiling woman with her hair up. "These are my children, Rodrigo, Camila, and Sebastian. 3 middle-aged people, prosperous, happy. And these are my 7 grandchildren. Children of all ages, some babies, others teenagers. I had a good life, William. The Millers raised me with love. They sent me to college. They set up a fabric business for me. I never lacked anything." I looked at him and saw my mother in his eyes. The same green eyes I had. Mom's same eyes. "I had 2 daughters," I said. "Linda and I had 2 daughters, Lucy and—" I stopped. I did not want to talk about Jessica. "And?" Max asked. "One wants me dead." I finished. Ryan Carter asked us to tell the story in front of the cameras. Max spoke first. Our mother, Dolores Turner, made the most difficult decision of her life in 1948. I was 3 years old, my brother 5. There was no food for both. The Miller family merchants without children adopted me. They gave me their last name, but respected mine, keeping it as a middle name. Max Miller Turner. He looked at the camera. I never hated my mother for that. She did what she had to do. She saved us both. Me by giving me a family. William by staying with him. It was my turn to speak. I did not know about Max until a week ago. I found some hidden letters from my mother. I was going to look for him, but my daughter committed me here to sell family land and pay her debts to loan sharks. Ryan could not believe what he heard. This was television gold. "Are you telling me your daughter committed you illegally?" Ryan asked the camera. "Yes. She falsified a dementia diagnosis. 2 men brought me by force. I have been locked up here for a week, drugged with medications I do not need." Sarah approached. "I am a former student of Professor Turner. I have worked here for a week. This man does not have dementia. He is completely lucid. This is a crime." Dr. Reed reappeared, then accompanied by a lawyer. "Gentlemen, turn off the cameras or we call the police." Ryan smiled. "Call the police, please. We want them to come. We want them to see what happens here." The doctor realized he had lost. If he called the police, he would have to explain why he had a healthy man committed. If he did not call, he looked worse. He was trapped. Max stood up. "My brother is coming with me now. He cannot try the doctor's lawyer. He is a patient of this institution." "He is a kidnapped man," Max corrected. "And if you do not let him go, I am going to report this place in all media," Ryan added. "This goes out tonight in prime time. In 2 hours, the whole country is going to know what happens at Sunrise Care Home." That was the definitive threat. Dr. Reed was sweating so much that drops were falling down his face. "Sign here," he passed me a paper. "Voluntary discharge authorization." "I'm not going to sign voluntary. They brought me by force." "Then you do not leave." Max exploded. "My brother leaves with me now, or I swear I will make them close this shit place." His voice resonated in the whole room. All the old people applauded. Even those who were drugged seemed to wake up a second to applaud. The doctor's lawyer spoke with his client in a low voice. After 5 minutes, they returned. "He can go, but sign that he leaves under his responsibility." I signed whatever. It did not matter anymore. Robert approached in his wheelchair. "William, take me with you," what Max asked. "This gentleman is also committed against his will," I explained. "My son sold my condo and put me in here. I have been here 8 months. Ryan looked at his producer. She nodded. "Mr. Robert, tell us your story." And so in the middle of that hall that smelled of disinfectant and sadness, 5 more people dared. 5 old people who did not have dementia. 5 old people whose children had locked them up to keep their properties. The show that was going to be about a reunion of brothers turned into a national denunciation about the abandonment of the elderly. Dr. Reed tried to escape, but the cameramen followed him. "How many patients do you have here committed illegally?" He did not answer. He just ran. We all left together. Max, me, Robert, Sarah, the 5 old people who had dared to speak the team of the program. Outside there were already people, relatives of other patients who had seen the movement, journalists from local media who had heard on the radio what was happening. A crowd. Max was holding me by the arm. "Are you okay?" "Yes," I answered, but it was not true. My chest hurt. My hands were trembling, the effects of the pills, the adrenaline, the fear of the hitmen, everything together. "You need a doctor," Sarah said. "A real doctor." We got into the show's van. Robert came with us. The other 5 old people went with their families, who had arrived running upon hearing the news. As we drove away, I looked out the window. I saw the gray building that had been my prison for a week. I saw Dr. Reed talking to the police who had just arrived, and I knew that place would never be the same again. At the city hospital, they ran tests on me. "You have traces of benzodiazepines in your blood," the doctor said. "How long were they medicating you?" "A week. They sedated you illegally. They gave me something to counteract the effects. While we waited for the results, Max told me what I did not know. Mom looked for me before she died. It was in 1993. I was 48 years old. She appeared at my business in California. She was old sick. She hugged me and cried. She asked for my forgiveness. I told her there was nothing to forgive. She told me everything about you. She told me your full name. She told me where you lived, but she asked me not to look for you yet." "Why?" "Because she did not want you to suffer more. Your wife had just had cancer. Your daughters were young. Mom said, 'Let him be happy. He already suffered enough because of me.'" Tears fell uncontrollably. My mother had protected me even after death, even in that. I left the hospital 3 hours later with a medical certificate that confirmed what 8 I already knew. I was completely healthy, just illegally sedated. Max took me to his hotel. "You are going to stay with me until we resolve this," he said. I did not argue. I did not have the strength to argue. In the hotel room, I threw myself on the bed and slept for 14 hours straight. A sleep without pills. A clean sleep. When I woke up, Max was sitting in the chair reading the newspaper. We made the front page, he told me, showing it to me. There we were, the 2 of us, hugging in the clinic hall. The headline read, "Brothers separated for 74 years. Reunite after illegal commitment complaint." My story was no longer just mine. It belonged to the whole country. David arrived that afternoon with news. "I found your daughter. Lucy took me to the lake cabin. Jessica is hiding at Hank's cousin's house." "And Hank?" I asked. David made a grimace. "He appeared this morning at the hospital. Someone beat him up very badly. He has a broken jaw, 3 broken ribs, a closed eye. The loan sharks gave him a preview of what is coming." I felt a void in my stomach. As much as I hated Hank, nobody deserved that. Did he talk? He talked. They took his statement. He confessed everything. David took some papers out of his briefcase. "This is what your son-in-law got your daughter into." What I read froze my blood. It was not a $200,000 common debt. It was much worse. Hank had borrowed $500,000 from a dangerous organization, not a common loan shark, but serious people. People who moved shady businesses across the state. The plan was to buy 3 cargo trucks and do special transport between Ohio and New York. Undeclared merchandise, contraband electronics, illegal cigarettes. Things that made quick money. But on the second trip, the police stopped them at a road checkpoint. They found the trucks full of cell phones without customs registration. Value $1 million. The trucks were seized, the merchandise lost. And Hank still owed the original $500,000 plus interest. It was already up to $750,000. Jessica knew nothing about this added David. She thought it was a loan for a legal transport business. My daughter was not a criminal. She was a fool who had married one. The guys who threatened you at the clinic were not common loan sharks, David continued. They are from the Malone Brothers gang, very dangerous people. They have missing people in their history. The police have been looking for them for years, but they can never prove anything. Max listened to everything with a worried face. And now, what he asked. Now they have until Thursday at 6 to pay. If they do not pay, they hurt Hank, they hurt Jessica. And as a bonus, they hurt William to close the circle. Why me? I asked. Because the land is in your name. If you die without a will, Jessica inherits. If she dies without selling it, they lose everything. So they eliminate you after she signs the sale. It was a perfect plan, destroy a whole family to collect a debt. How much time do we have? Max asked. David looked at his watch. 38 hours. That night, I did not sleep. Max, neither. We stayed in the hotel room, talking about everything we had not talked about in 74 years. He told me about his childhood in California, how the Millers taught him the fabric business, about his wife, Gabriella, who had been his love since he was 20, about his children, his grandchildren, his whole life, summarized in one night. I was lucky, he told me. I could have ended up in a bad family, but the Millers saved me. Mom chose well, I answered. She was always wise, even in pain. Max took something out of his pocket, a yellowed envelope. Mom gave me this before dying. She told me to give it to you if I ever found you. My hands trembled as I opened it. It was a letter, the last letter from my mother to me. My dear William, it started. Mom's shaky handwriting, written with effort. If you are reading this, Max found you, thank God. All my life I carried the guilt of having separated you, but I had no choice. It was that, or watching you both die of hunger. I chose for you to live separated rather than dead together. Forgive me if you can. I loved you both the same. Never doubt it. Your mom who loved you until her last breath. Dolores. She signed it with her maiden name as if in that moment she were neither widow nor married. Just Dolores, a woman who had made the most terrible and brave decision of her life. I cried reading those words. Max cried too. There's nothing to forgive, Mom, I said out loud. Nothing. We kept the letter like the treasure. It was the proof that love sometimes forces you to break what you love most. Wednesday morning, my cell phone rang. It was a number I did not know. I answered. William Turner. Gramps. This is Chris Malone. We met in the basement. The hitman. What do you want? To inform you. Your son-in-law is in the hospital. Your daughter is hiding like a rat, and the clock keeps running. 30 hours left. I do not have $750,000. Then sell the land. I give you 12 hours to put it up for sale. If at 9 tonight I do not see the for sale sign, I'm going to look for your daughter. He hung up. I stayed with the phone in my hand. Max looked at me. What did he say? That I have until 9 tonight to put the land for sale. And if not, they hurt Jessica. Max stood up. They are not going to touch her. I am not going to allow it. What happened next, I still find hard to believe. Max called his children in California. Rodrigo, I need you to transfer everything you have in the account. Camila, you too. Sebastian, sell the stocks I gave you last year. His children asked why. Because my brother is in trouble and family helps each other. In 3 hours, Max had $300,000 in his account. It is not enough, said David. We are missing $450,000. Max stared at him. I have a house in San Diego. It is worth $500,000. I can mortgage it. Max, no, I intervened. You are not going to lose your house for my daughter. It is not for your daughter. It is for you. You are my brother. I looked for you for 70 years. I am not going to lose you now for $750,000 damn dollars. He called his bank in California. In 2 hours, he had the mortgage approved. $500,000 more. Total $800,000. It is too much, said David. They are going to suspect if you offer them more than what they are owed. Better to have too much than too little, Max answered. How do we give it to them? I will handle it, said David. I know people who negotiate with these guys, but it has to be in a public place with witnesses. They organized everything for 6 in the afternoon at a coffee shop downtown. David was going to take the cash. The Malone brothers were going to send someone to pick it up. I will go, I said. No, they both said at the same time. If you go, they eliminate you to collect the inheritance, explained David. You have to stay here. I did not like it. I did not like it at all, but they were right. At 5 in the afternoon, David left the hotel with a black bag. Inside was the price of my daughter's freedom, the price of my own life. While David negotiated with the criminals, Lucy arrived at the hotel with Jessica. My daughter looked destroyed, skinny dark circles under her eyes, dirty hair shaking. When she saw me, she threw herself on the floor. Dad, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, she repeated like a broken record. I did not touch her. I stayed sitting in the armchair looking at her. Max touched my shoulder. Brother, he started, leave me, I said. Jessica cried on the floor. I did not know Dad. Hank told me it was a normal loan for a legal business. When I realized they were criminals, it was too late. They had already threatened us. They had already beaten Hank. They told me if we did not pay, they were going to hurt us, all including Emily. Emily, my 8-year-old granddaughter. Where is Emily? I asked. With my mother-in-law in Chicago. I sent her far away so she is safe. At least she had done that, right? Lucy sat next to me. Dad, there is something else Jessica has to tell you. My oldest daughter looked at my youngest daughter with hardness. Tell him. Jessica wiped her tears. I was with Mom when she died. The world stopped. What? I was at the house. I'd gone to ask her to lend me money. Mom and I argued. She got nervous. She started to feel bad. She grabbed her chest. I got scared. I thought it was theater that she was exaggerating, so I would leave. I left her there. I left. When I came back 2 hours later, because I felt guilty, she was already dead. I stood up. My legs were shaking. You were with her? Yes. And you left her alone when she felt bad. I thought it was a lie, Dad. I thought she was manipulating me. She was your mother? I shouted. I shouted so loud that Max and David, who had just returned, came running in. Your mother was dying, and you left her alone. Jessica collapsed completely. I know. That is why I needed to get you out of the house. I could not look you in the eyes every day knowing what I did. There it was. The complete truth. My daughter had not only betrayed me, she had let her own mother die. I did not speak to Jessica for 3 days. 3 days in which David finished arranging the papers. The debt was settled. The Malone brothers had accepted the full payment and signed a private document releasing Hank, Jessica, and me from any commitment. That paper is not legal, David told me, but it is the best we could get. Hank was still in the hospital. Lucy told me that Jessica had gone to see him and asked for a divorce. I do not want to see you again, she had told him. You destroyed my life. You almost killed my father. You made me an accomplice to horrible things. Hank did not protest. He just cried. Max stayed with me all that time. His business in California could wait. His newly found brother could not. On Thursday, the official court order arrived. Judge Mendez had reviewed the whole case. Helen's audios, the medical certificates, Sarah's statements, the TV show video. Mr. William Turner was a victim of illegal deprivation of liberty. Complete investigation of Sunrise Care Home is ordered. There was also an arrest warrant against Dr. Reed. He had fled. Nobody knew where he was. Probably in Mexico, said David. That is where they all hide. Robert was also officially released. His son had to appear before the judge and explain why he had committed his father. They told me it was the best for him he lied. The judge did not believe him. He gave him 6 months of probation for abandonment of a person. It was not enough, but it was something. I decided to return to my house. I had to face what was left of my life. Max accompanied me. Lucy, too. When we arrived, the house smelled closed up. Nobody had opened the windows in 2 weeks. Linda's plants were dry, all of them. The brown roses, the withered geraniums. I sat in the armchair where Linda and I had spent 55 years watching television. "Are you okay?" Max asked. "No," I answered honestly. "I do not know if I am going to be okay again." Lucy started cleaning. She opened windows. She threw away dead plants. "We are going to buy new ones, Dad," she said. "We are going to start over." But I did not want new plants. I wanted Linda's plants. I wanted nothing to have changed. I wanted my daughter not to be a traitor. I wanted my wife not to have died alone because our daughter abandoned her. Jessica appeared the next day. She knocked on the door. She did not enter. She stayed outside. Lucy opened for her. "What do you want?" "To talk to Dad. I do not know if he wants to see you." But I listened to her from the dining room. "Let her in," I said. Jessica walked in like someone condemned to the gallows. She looked worse than before. Skinnier, more destroyed. She sat on the edge of the sofa. I stayed in my chair. Max and Lucy went to the kitchen to give us privacy. The silence was so heavy it was hard to breathe. Dad started Jessica with a broken voice. "I know there is no forgiveness for what I did. I know you hate me. You have the right. But I need you to know that I never wanted things to go that far. Hank lied to me. He told me it was a common loan. When I realized the truth, it was too late. I let her speak. I did not interrupt her. And about Mom, her voice broke. About Mom, it haunts me every day, every night. I close my eyes and I see her grabbing her chest, telling me she did not feel well, and me thinking it was a lie, that she was acting to manipulate me, because I always felt I was manipulated, that you and Mom loved Lucy more, that I was never enough. So when Mom got sick, I thought, there she goes again, acting to get her way. I shook my head. Your mom never manipulated you, never. I know that now. But in that moment, I only saw what I wanted to see. She wiped her tears. I came back 2 hours later. She was lying on the kitchen floor, already cold, already dead. I called the ambulance. I lied. I said I had found her like that I had just arrived. I stood up and went to my room. I came back with a box. I put it on the table. "Do you know what this is?" I asked her. Jessica denied. "It is all the papers your mother and I prepared for you two. Will, division of assets, land documents." I opened the box. I took out a folder with Jessica's name, handwritten by Linda. "Your mother left you half the land. The other half was for Lucy, but there was a condition." "What?" "That you two agree on what to do with it. If Lucy wanted to sell and you did not, you had to find a solution together. If you needed money, Lucy had to help you. It was a way to force you to keep being sisters after we died." Jessica looked at the papers as if they were poison. "Mom left me half. Yes, because she loved you, because she always loved you, even if you did not believe it." I took out another envelope, and this is something your mother did not know. Something I did alone. It was a savings book, with Jessica's name. 15 years ago, I opened an account in your name. Every month I deposited a little, not much, $50, $100, whatever I could. When you married Hank and I saw the guy was useless, I started depositing more, in case one day you needed to escape, in case one day you realized you had made a mistake and needed to start over. I passed her the book. Jessica opened it with trembling hands. "There is $50,000, she said with a choked voice, for you to make your life, for you to give Emily a good life, but under one condition." "What? That never again do you lie to me, that never again do you betray me, that never again do you act out of fear instead of talking to me?" Jessica collapsed. She cried like I hadn't seen her cry since she was a child. "I do not deserve it. I do not deserve any of this." "No," I agreed. "You do not deserve it. But I give it to you anyway. Because you are my daughter. Because Linda loved you. And because I still have hope that the woman we raised is somewhere inside you. Buried under fear. Under bad decisions. Under guilt. But there." I looked her in the eyes. "Your mother would be destroyed to see you like this. Destroyed to see what you became. But she would also have forgiven you. Because she was like that. Because she loved without conditions. My voice trembled. I am not like your mother. It is hard for me to forgive. You are going to have to give me time. A lot of time. Maybe years, maybe never. But I am not going to abandon you. Because abandoning you would be betraying Linda. Jessica came closer. She tried to hug me. I stopped her. Not yet. I am not ready for that yet. She nodded. She understood. Can I ask something? She said after a silence. What? Why? Why do you give me this money after everything? Why do you give me the chance? I sighed. Because when I was locked in that clinic, drugged, scared, not knowing if I was going to get out alive, I only thought about two things. Finding my brother Max. And that I did not want to die hating my daughter. Hate poisons. Resentment kills. And I was already too close to death to waste the time I have left hating. I stood up. But giving you a chance does not mean I forgive you. Forgiving is something else. Forgiving takes time. And you took something from me you will never give back. What Jessica asked. Peace of mind. Trust. The possibility of dying in peace, knowing my two daughters would take care of me. The words came out hard, but true. You took the dignity of my last years. You locked me up like an animal. You sedated me like a madman. And worse than all that, you left your mother to die alone. Jessica sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. But I am sorry does not return anything. I am sorry is just the beginning. After I am sorry comes change, comes rebuilding, comes years of proving you are another person. I stared at her. Are you willing to do that? To years of effort. To rebuild from zero. A relationship with your sister, with your daughter, with me? Jessica nodded. I would do whatever. Then start with something simple. Go to the cemetery. Ask your mother for forgiveness. And then find yourself a job. Because I am not going to support you. I give you the money to start. The rest, you do yourself. Jessica left half an hour later. Lucy came out of the kitchen when the door closed. Did you do right? She asked. I do not know, I answered honestly. But it is what Linda would have wanted. Max sat next to me. You are a good man, brother. I am a tired man, I corrected. Tired of fighting. Tired of hating. Tired of everything. That night I slept in my bed, on the side that was always mine, the right side. The left side, Linda's, was still empty. Her pillow still smelled of her chamomile shampoo. I hugged that pillow and cried. I cried for everything lost, for my dead wife, for my broken daughter, for the days they stole from me, for the life that could have been different. But I also cried of relief, because I was alive, because I had found my brother, because there was still time for some things. Not for all, but for some. 2 weeks after that meeting with Jessica, I made a decision. I called an appraiser. The family land, those 10 acres in the outskirts of town that my father had bought in 1950, for almost nothing, was now worth $2 million. Urban development had arrived. Where before there was empty field, now there were buildings, businesses, construction plans. You could sell everything and live like a king your last years, the appraiser told me. Or I could do what I came to do, I answered. I sold 5 acres, $1 million. With that I returned to Max everything he had spent, his children's savings, the mortgage of his house in San Diego, every last penny. It is not necessary. Brother, he protested. Yes, it is necessary, I insisted. I am not going to start this new stage of my life owing. The rest of the money I kept for what really mattered. The Linda Turner Library was going to occupy the remaining 5 acres. I hired a young architect recently graduated who understood what I wanted. It has to be a place where people feel welcome, where kids can study, where old people can read the newspaper with natural light, with plants, with benches outside to sit in the shade. He showed me plans. A 2-story construction, large windows, an internal courtyard with trees. How much is it? I asked. With the materials you want to use, $700,000. I had $300,000 left after paying Max. Let's do it, I said. We signed the contract that same day. Construction would start in a month. Linda was going to have her library. It arrived 20 years late, but she was going to have it. Jessica kept her word. She got a job at a bookstore downtown. She did not earn much, but it was honest. She got up at 6 in the morning, took Emily to school, worked 8 hours, picked her up, helped her with homework. Weekends she came to visit me. I received her, but we were still two strangers trying to remember how to be family. Emily, on the other hand, held no grudge. Children never hold grudges. "Grandpa, is it true they locked you in an old people's place?" she asked me with that brutal frankness of 8-year-olds. "Yes." "And did you escape? My brother rescued me." "Like in the movies." Like in the movies, he smiled. And with that smile, she forgave everything her mother could not forgive herself. The divorce came through in 3 months. Hank signed everything without protesting. He was destroyed. The last I heard, he had gone to live with a cousin in Kentucky. Lucy returned home permanently. She quit her job in Chicago. "You need me more here," she said. I did not argue. It was true. The house was too big and too silent for a lonely old man. Lucy occupied her usual room, the same room where she had slept from 5 to 23 years old. We painted the walls. We bought new furniture. "It is like starting over," she said one night during dinner. "But better because now we are adults. Now we can choose to be together." She was right. At 20, children live with parents because they have no choice. At 50, when they return, it is because they want to. That difference changes everything. We laughed more. We argued less. We shared silence without discomfort. We cooked together. We watched TV together. We watered the new plants together. Max made a decision that surprised me. "I am staying in Ohio," he announced one Sunday while we drank coffee on the patio. "What?" "And your life in California." "My life in California was 70 years without my brother. I already lived that. I do not want to live more years without you." "And your children." "My children are grown. They have their own lives. They are going to visit me, but I stay here." He bought the house next door, Mr. Henderson's house, who had died 2 months ago without family. An old house, but solid. He refurbished it in 3 months. I went every day to see how the work progressed. Max directed the builders with the same confidence he had managed his fabric business for 50 years. "Here goes my workshop," he showed me. "I am going to sew again. I missed working with my hands." We made a gate connecting the 2 backyards to be able to pass from one house to the other without going out to the street, like when we were boys and lived together. Sarah became a friend, a real friend. She came on Saturdays to drink tea. She brought me books she thought I would like. We talked about philosophy, about politics, about life. "I resigned from the care home," she told me one day. "I could not keep working there after what I saw. And now, I am setting something up, a project." She did not want to tell me more that day, but 2 weeks later, she appeared with 5 people, all old, all with stories similar to mine. "Professor, I want you to talk to them. I want you to tell them your story, so they know they can get out, they can report it, they can recover their life." I talked to them that afternoon. 3 hours. I told them everything. The betrayal, the confinement, the pills, the fear, but also the rescue, the justice, the freedom. If I could, I told them you can too. Some cried, others got angry, all left with something they did not have when they arrived, hope. Robert came to visit me one Thursday. His son had brought him forced by a court order. "I have to fulfill supervised visits," Robert explained with irony, as if I were the dangerous one. We sat on the patio. I showed him the plans for the library. "How nice," he said. "Linda would be proud. I hope so." He looked at me with those tired eyes that had seen too much. "William, do you think the unforgivable can be forgiven?" "I do not know. I am still trying to figure it out. I cannot forgive my son. I cannot. He stole my condo. He locked me up for 8 months. He lied to me all that time." "I know. But he is still my son, and I am still his father. Does that mean something?" I had no answer. I only had my own confusion. "It means it is complicated," I said finally. "It means there is no instruction manual for this." Robert nodded. If you ever find the manual, let me know. We laughed, a bitter but necessary laugh. The library construction progressed fast. Every week I went to see the progress. First the foundation, then the walls, then the roof. The young architect worked with a dedication that moved me. It is my first big project, he confessed. I want it to be perfect. It is going to be perfect, I assured him. We chose the colors together. White for the walls, light wood for the shelves, large windows with black frames, the name in iron letters over the entrance, Linda Turner, Library. One day, while supervising the placement of those letters, I felt something break inside me. I cried right there in front of the workers. They stopped working. Nobody said anything. They just waited for me to finish. When I calmed down, the foreman passed me a thermos of coffee. My old lady was also named Linda, he said. Good people, the Lindas. The best I agreed. Mrs. Higgins was still my neighbor, and my friend, and my accomplice. She came every morning with pastries. I'm not going to change that habit, even if I die, she said. One morning she told me something that surprised me. Mr. Turner, do you know Jessica comes to see me? Yes. She comes on Tuesdays after work. She brings me things from the supermarket. She helps me with the computer. She talks to me. What do you talk about? About you. About what she did. About how to fix it. Mrs. Higgins looked at me with that wisdom of 83 years. That girl is broken, Mr. Turner. But she is gluing the pieces back together. Slowly, but she is gluing. I did not know what to answer. Do you think you can forgive her one day? Mrs. Higgins asked me. I do not know. Well, while the I do not know is not, never there is hope. She was right. The I do not know was better than never. Max and I started a new routine. Every afternoon after the nap, we sat on his patio. Or mine, it was the same to drink coffee. We talked about everything. About Mom, about our separated lives, about the 74 lost years. Do you know what is the weirdest thing he told me one afternoon? That I feel those years were not missing. I feel you were always with me. I feel the same. Is it a brother thing? Is it a blood thing? He told me stories of California I listened to like movies. His first love, his first job, the day Rodrigo was born, the day Gabriella died. I told him about Linda, about my years as a professor, about my daughters when they were little, about mistakes and successes. You had a nice life, he told me. I had a life, I corrected, with its nice moments and its horrible moments like everyone. But you lived it. That is what matters. He was right. I had lived it. And I still had a little more to live. 6 months after my release, a package arrived at home. It was from the court. Inside was a notification. Sunrise Care Home has been closed for grave violations of patients' rights. Dr. Richard Reed remains a fugitive. Irregularities were found in medication records of 38 patients. I read the complete document. 38 people sedated unnecessarily. 15 commitments without valid consent. 8 suspicious deaths that were now going to be investigated. My case had uncovered everything. Justice was done, Lucy said when I showed her the papers. Justice started to be done, I corrected. There is still more to go. But it was a beginning that was going to help other old people, other Roberts, other Williams. That night, I slept better than in months, because I knew my suffering had at least served for something. A year after everything, the Linda Turner Library opened its doors. It was a Saturday in October. The sky was clear. There was a perfect sun coming through the large windows, making the shelves full of books shine. We had obtained 5,000 donated books, from publishers, from individuals, from other libraries. There was everything: novels, essays, history books, science poetry. In the children's sector, there were colorful rugs and big cushions. The kids were already there, sitting reading. In the internal courtyard, the trees we had planted were starting to grow. They were still small, but they were going to give shade. Everything was exactly as Linda would have wanted. Exactly as we had dreamed together 20 years ago, when we still thought we had all the time in the world. The mayor came to inaugurate it officially. We cut the ribbon. People applauded. There were about 200 people, neighbors, former students of mine, journalists, curious people. Ryan Carter came with his team. I was not going to miss it, he told me. This is the continuation of the story we started a year ago. The cameras recorded everything. Then they asked me to say a few words. I stood in front of the microphone. I saw the expectant faces. This library is called Linda Turner, because Linda was the woman who taught me that knowledge without love is empty, that books without humanity are just paper. She wanted a place where people could learn and feel welcome, a place where no one was rejected for being poor or old or different. My voice trembled, but I continued. This library is for everyone, but especially for those who think they no longer have a place in the world, for the old who believe they are no longer useful, for the young who believe they do not matter. Here, everyone matters. Linda believed it, and so do I. After the speech, I gave my first class. I had prepared the topic carefully. Ethics in the Family, it was called. 30 people came. They sat in a circle in the main room. I started with a question. What do we owe our family, and what does family owe us? The answers were varied. Some said everything, others said nothing. Family is complicated, I said, because blood unites us. But that does not guarantee love. History unites us, but that does not guarantee loyalty. We can love someone in our family deeply and still be betrayed by that person. I saw faces nodding, faces understanding. And when that happens, we have to decide. Do we forgive, or do we cut ties? There is no right answer. There is only what each one can live with in peace. The class lasted 2 hours. Nobody left early. Everyone wanted to talk, share their stories, their dilemmas. We ended up hugging, strangers who became a little less strangers. When I left the class, I saw someone sitting on one of the courtyard benches. Jessica. She wore a simple dress hair tied back, red eyes. She had cried. I came, she said when I approached. I told you it was not necessary. Yes, it was necessary. I needed to see this. I needed to see what Mom dreamed of. I let her speak. I have been working for a year at the bookstore. I earn little, but it is honest. Emily is fine. She gets good grades. She asks about you all the time. She can come whenever she wants, I know. But I do not know if I can come. I do not know if I have the right to be in the place that bears Mom's name. The mom I left to die. I looked at her. She had lost weight. She had new wrinkles. Suffering had carved her face. Do you want me to tell you I forgive you? That everything is fine? I asked. No. I want you to tell me the truth. The truth was complicated. The truth is I still love you. Because you are my daughter. Because I raised you. Because there are 30 years of good memory before the 2 years of betrayal. I sat next to her on the bench. But it is also true that I do not trust you. That it is hard for me to look at you without remembering. That every time I see your face, I also see that clinic, those hallways, those pills that fear. Jessica cried in silence. Will you ever be able to trust again? I do not know. Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on you, on how much time you keep being this new Jessica. If in a year, 5 years, 10 years you keep working, you keep being honest, you keep being a good mother. I looked her in the eyes. Forgiving is one thing, trusting is another. Forgiving is a decision taken once. Trusting is a decision taken every day, and I am not yet ready to take that decision every day. Jessica nodded. Can I hug you? She asked with a small voice. I thought about it. 3 seconds. 5. Yes. We hugged. It was not the hug from before. It was tense, careful, fragile. But it was a hug. Max appeared then with a group of people. Brother, look who came. Behind him came his 3 children with their complete families. Rodrigo, Camila, Sebastian, with their wives, husbands, and the 7 grandchildren. We all came, announced Rodrigo. We were not going to miss the inauguration of Aunt Linda's library. Aunt Linda. I liked how it sounded. The grandchildren ran towards the children's books. The adults stayed with me. Uncle William said, Camila. It was the first time someone called me that. Dad told us everything. What you went through. What you did. You are a hero. I am not a hero. I am a stubborn old man who got lucky. You are our family, said Sebastian, and we are proud to know you. The three hugged me, and with those hugs I felt something I had not felt in a long time. That family could be something good, that not all family was betrayal, that some relatives were a blessing. The rest of the day was a party. Sarah came with her project already consolidated, Support Network for Seniors, it was called. She had taken 23 people out of situations of family abuse. And this is just starting, she told me. Thanks to you, Professor, for daring to report. Thanks to you for helping me. Robert came too. He walked with a cane, but smiled. I came to sign up for your classes, he told me. There are the forms. No, seriously, I want to learn. I want to understand. I want to know how to forgive. He hugged me tight. You are a good man, William. You too, Robert. Helen came with her sister Rose. They brought homemade pastries to celebrate Mr. Turner. Helen, without you, none of this would have happened. I only did the right thing. Not everyone does the right thing. You did. Mrs. Higgins came with her entire family. Grandchildren, great-grandchildren, everyone. Mr. Turner, meet Mrs. Higgins, the biggest gossip in Ohio and your best friend. We laughed, the library filled with life voices, joy. At sunset, when everyone left, I stayed alone in the library. I walked among the shelves touching the books. Plato, Aristotle, Hemingway, Faulkner, Frost. All the authors I had taught for 40 years were now here available for whoever wanted them. I reached a special section I had prepared, books donated by Linda Turner. They were her personal books, the ones she had collected all her life. Her favorite novels, her poetry books, her gardening manuals. All with her name written inside with that round handwriting she had. I grabbed one at random, The Great Gatsby. I opened it. On the first page, Linda had written for William, who taught me to read beyond words, I love you, L. I sat on the floor right there. I hugged the book and cried. I cried for everything I had lost, but also for everything I had gained. That night, I returned home. Lucy had prepared a special dinner. Max came with his children. Jessica came with Emily. It was weird having them all together. The complete family. The broken family reconstructed differently. We ate, talked, laughed. Emily asked me to tell her the story of how I found my brother. I told her. Her eyes opened wider and wider. And then what happened? She asked. Then we lived, I answered. And were you happy forever? She asked with that innocence of the 9 years she already was. I do not know if happy forever, but happy now, and now is the only thing we have. Emily smiled. Jessica looked at me grateful. Lucy served us dessert. It was custard, the custard Linda used to make. Lucy had learned the recipe. It tastes the same, I said. Mom taught me well, she answered. We ate the custard in silence, a silence full of presents. Later, when everyone left, I went up to my room. I sat on the bed. Next to me on the nightstand was Linda's photo, that photo that accompanied me since her death. I grabbed it with both hands. I kept my promise, my love, I told her out loud. The library is ready. It has your name. It has your books. It has your spirit. I stared at her. And I forgave our daughter, or I am trying. It is not easy, but I am trying. For you, for her, for me. I touched the glass of the frame as if I could touch her face. I found Max, the brother I never knew. You have to see him. He looks just like Mom. He has her eyes, her smile. It is like having a piece of Mom back. I lay down with the photo on my chest. I miss you every day, but it does not hurt so much anymore. It is no longer an open wound. It is a scar, and scars are proof that we survived. I closed my eyes. A knock on the door woke me up. It was Mrs. Higgins with a tray. Mr. Turner, I brought you coffee. At this hour, it is 9 in the morning. You overslept. I had fallen asleep with the photo on top. I sat on the bed. Mrs. Higgins left the tray. You have a visitor, she said. Who? Go down and see. I went down the stairs. In the living room was Robert. He had a folder in his hands. I came to sign up for your classes, he said. Seriously, this time, we laughed. Welcome. And I brought someone else. Behind him entered 5 people, all old, all with that look I recognized well, the look of those who had been betrayed and were looking for how to go on. Everyone wants to learn, said Robert. Everyone wants to know how to forgive, how to live afterwards. I looked at those faces. I saw my own story reflected in every wrinkle. Then let's start, I said, because I do not have all the answers either, but we can look for them together. We sat in a circle in the dining room. Mrs. Higgins brought more coffee. We started talking. And so in that circle of broken old people who were healing, I understood something. Life was not about finding answers. It was about finding company to look for them and you. Did you ever have to forgive the unforgivable? Could you do it? If this story touched your soul, leave your comment and subscribe to the channel. Each story we tell is a real life, a real pain, a real hope. See you in the next story, friends. May there always be hot coffee. And people who truly love us,